Hey guys, welcome to the third part in our live demonstration where we're going to be completing our AI visual product using actual real assets, and we're also going to be doing a lot of AI assets. So we've already completed and created something inside of After Effects that looks pretty awesome. So if we go back to After Effects, I went back and I redid every single fruit that we had going on there. And as you can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit better. There we go. It just kind of bounces through, and then I added our blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and bananas. And then I basically created another one, and we're going to walk through this, that has an original logo that we created using AI, but also giving it parameters and colors and things like that so that it knew what we wanted. And then we also added this whole fruit explosion behind it using our real assets. So pretty awesome. And now it kind of creates this like seamless transition where we have the fruit falling, and then we go right from the fruit falling into the actual original harvest juice container. This in itself right here could be a nice little 15-second, 20-second social media ad. But I went ahead and we went into Google Flow and I made some more scenes utilizing the same assets we had with the different fruits. And as you can see here, I went to town. We had a good time of like fruit explosions. We went through some logo changes. It wasn't great. Initially, I really wanted it to have so like where fruit was splashing, and I had to go through a bunch of different iterations. It did take, I will say, probably about 2 hours to do all of this. And that's just the prompting part of it, kind of trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work. And as we come through here, we can see that the evolution of it as it did what I wanted to do, but this is the thing with AI. You have to really start articulating exactly what you want with specifics of like a berry touches another berry, explodes off to the left, and another berry touches another one, explodes off to the right. You have to put the numbers in there. You have to make sure you get what you need. And that's ultimately where we ended up. So created something like this. So this is getting better. We've got like splashes of water coming off of our fruit. But the bananas doesn't look too real there. This looks pretty damn good right here, utilizing the fruit that we had created. And then the same thing here, here, and here. Ultimately, I went with one of these shots here as kind of like a filler for our video. And then I went in and I started going into Midjourney. And Midjourney was great for a little bit of the I would say, creating the logo. However, I will say that I actually ended up not going with the logo that we created inside of Midjourney, just because I didn't really like the quality of it. I hate to say it. Midjourney does a great job with photos, does a great job with the video translation. It just doesn't do a great job with text. As you can see in a lot of these, like that, it doesn't get the word original up here at all. You get these like runic kind of looking letters. It's not real. And the same thing pretty much for all of it. You get like weird looking G's. There's little umlauts and accent marks over some of the words. So kind of an issue there. And then I tried to create something that I thought would be fun inside of Midjourney. It didn't go well. But that's the whole thing with AI, is the fact that you have to do all of this stuff and keep trying at it and seeing what happens and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And it's just, I spent probably another 40 minutes or so going through each of these, kind of figuring out which one worked best. Ultimately, I didn't like any of them, and I did everything inside of Google Flow. And when I came into Google Flow, I told it to do one thing. So I actually gave it this logo background. Let me find it. So it's right here. This is our, actually see if I can open that up. It's not letting me open it. Well, as you can see, I can hover over it. This is an original logo that I created, and I thought it looked really nice. And then I have some shots of some jars. And basically what I told AI is I came into here, and the prompt for this was, camera pulls back to reveal 3 bottles of juice with the product label Original Harvest Juice wrapped around the bottles as strawberries, bananas, blackberries, and blueberries explode out from behind each other, or each of the juice containers. And then I said bright, bold lighting. The background color is green and yellow gradient with a cinematic movement. And honestly, it worked out pretty well. I think this is the one that I ended up going with. It really did a nice job. And really exemplified exactly what I wanted. We had the logo, which was right there. That's the Original Harvest logo. And then if we zoom in, we can see that it's the same logo, it's the same words, and it looks pretty damn good. And I'm not too mad with it. But if we look at the other stuff, you can see it didn't take all of the original logo for this one. It then put the logo in the background of this one. There was no logo in this one, but it did use the juice containers that I was looking for. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. And again, we're merging real assets together inside of this this program. So I'll play through a couple of these for you guys. But it's really interesting to see what happens here. I spent a total of about 400 credits, which is a couple bucks to do that. And then we've got these up here where, again, kind of the same problem with Midjourney. We have, text that doesn't actually read as it is. Orgelhast juice. That's not right. And then this just gave us original juice with the logo, but didn't give us the wording that we wanted, and I didn't really like that. But this just kind of shows you how many iterations you have to go through to get it right. In this particular instance, we actually got it right on the very, I think, second one right over here, and then ended up making, 8 more after that. And it really, it just depends on, the timing, the wording, and how things go. But I really enjoyed this one that we got down here. That works really well. And then I came back and said, okay, well, I need some filler shots because we need about 10 to 15 seconds of shots at the beginning before or when the narration starts. And then I kind of went through back and then did more fruit explosions. And then I started using more colorful language like water droplets and mist and fruit explosions. I basically told it that it needed 20 to 30 pieces of fruit to fill the screen. And it did that. And it used all of the elements that we had in the video. So if I click here, you can see that we have our blueberries, strawberries, and bananas and blackberries. All of that stuff is in here. And it did a pretty damn good job. And this is one that I ended up using. It was actually the very first one, and I thought it did a really great job. And there's a couple other ones that did a really good job too, but the spacing wasn't necessarily there. I really liked the depth of this first one. And then the same problem with the other one, the juice just didn't work out too well. And then, I kind of carried on, and then I also figured out that I needed to basically compartmentalize the other fruits that we had in the scene. So I went through and made some simple just strawberries and blueberries dropping onto a wooden cutting board, close-ups of that, and just a bunch of these other things just going through there. And then I did the same thing with blueberries. It does a great job of retaining that that beautiful texture and the colors and the shape that you actually get from the original asset, and it keeps it all in there. And honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing what this does now. But I was like, okay, well, I want to make sure that they're bouncing, so I came through here and we did some of this. This looks a little too fake and a little too hokey. And then these look far more realistic in the sense of like their movement and the bounce in the water. Ended up using a couple of these shots in here. I think I went with this one ultimately at the end. It looked a little more realistic, like this little shot here. And yeah, so we did all of that. And that basically would constitute the entirety of the shoot. So I would go through, pick out the best one, start putting it into the editor. And now that brings me into DaVinci Resolve. And after we went through and upscaled all of these, because I went back into our video AI from Topaz Labs. And there we go. So I had all of these in here, and basically I went through and upscaled all of them so that they have the highest possible quality, and they look honestly super beautiful inside of DaVinci Resolve. And then once that was done, we were out of After Effects. And then we come right back into here. And this is the little demo I made. So the next thing that we're going to do is talk about the narration. And I'm going to mute this track because let's just pretend we haven't done the narration yet. I did go through Artlist. Artlist is a great place for music. I didn't use any AI-generated music. This is an actual person's music. Again, I do think that there are certain things inside of the production that should be humanistic in nature. And I think that, music and supporting artists is important, much as like it's important to support any visual artist as well. But so here's what I have so far. You can check it out. And honestly, the shots really like line up very nicely. The water, little transition. This is our After Effects piece. Comes in, our berries flow by. The banana wipes the screen. And there we go. We've got a delicious original Harvest Juice ad. But we're missing one thing. We need all that narration that we had in our script. So what I'm going to do now is we were going to go back into another yet another subscription that you'll have to get is what I would suggest is 11 Labs. They definitely have the best AI voice emulator. I'll say that it's out there right now, and it really gives you a lot of ability to tweak it, look through different artists, find that voice, find that style that you want. They literally just today, again, like I'm telling you, AI changes on a daily basis. They just added a new V3 alpha model that sounds so humanistic. It's absolutely insane. But what I do like about 11 Labs is they actually use real broadcasters and real voiceover artists. They all get paid for every use, so you're not copywriting or you're not using copywritten vocals. These are licensed vocals, and they're just put into a way or arranged in a way that sound like the words that you want, and it's pretty great. So there's a lot into this program, and we could probably start a whole tutorial on that. But what I would say is play around with it. It's very easy to use. One thing here is I really wanted like a female voice, and I wanted it to be bright and beautiful. And right here, this is the one that we got. And here's our script. So really all you do is you'll come into, here's the home page of 11 Labs. You can look through the voices.
Hey there, I'm so excited to provide.
These cars, produced in limited quantities and priced.
And if you...
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Whether you're here to relax, learn something new, or just enjoy a good...
So if you go through and you listen to the different libraries that they have for the different voices, you'll hear that they're really good voices, and some of them are high quality, some of them are low quality, some of them do sound AI. But for the most part, you'll choose whichever voice that you want, you'll add it to your library, and then you'll come into text-to-speech. So this is the script. And again, it's really simply laid out. It says, bright, beautiful, bursting with fruit, packed with vitamins, minerals, and natural energy. This is more than juice. It's vitality in every sip. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and bananas, blended fresh, made for everyone. Drink the energy of the fruit. Drink original harvest juice. Now, that's not how I would want to read that, but that is the script as we have here. So that we can get what we wanted, I wanted a female voice, and this is Arabelle. So this is the voice that I picked for it. Here's what she sounds like.
She tore her gaze away from her ruined footwear, still very much grieving the loss.
Now, I just liked it because it was kind of subtle, and when you pair it with the actual music, it gets a little more exciting. One thing you can do here when you are writing is putting in these little bracketed explainers. I'm not really sure what you want to call them, like actuation points. But it allows the algorithm to know how you want the voice to be read. So you could say excited, sad, depressed, and speeding up. You could do like a speed of 1.2, which is 1 times faster than the normal speed. And then you come back down here and you say generate speech. And so it's generating two different speeches.
Bold, bursting with fruit. Packed with vitamins, minerals, and natural energy. This is more than juice. It's vitality in every sip. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and bananas. Blended fresh, made for everyone. Drink the energy of fruit. Drink original harvest juice.
I want some original harvest juice. Yeah. So there it is right there. And then we've got another generation.
Bright, bold, bursting with fruit. Packed with vitamins, minerals, and natural energy.
And so those are pretty good. Realistically, what I would do is probably spend another hour or two just going through here and really refining it and doing exactly what I want to do. But just for this course, you kind of get the gist of how it goes. And I will say that this process does take some time. Much like the process when you are doing the iterations of video, you'll want to go back multiple times. You'll want to change a little bit of the prompting for the text-to-speech just so that you get a better read out of it. But you can also go back inside of DaVinci Resolve. You can tweak it just a little bit by speeding it up. You can then clip the audio, so if you want it to be spread out or close together, you have that ability to do that. But anyway, so we did this. I generated the speech, and then you basically just come here to the download button. I'll hit download, and it downloads that audio file, and bam, we have ourselves narration at our fingertips. So now we come back into here. I imported the audio narration clip to it, and now if we come back, this is going to be our final product. And honestly, it's pretty damn amazing. So in all, this entire thing took probably about 4 to 5 hours to actually put together if you're taking all the time it took to generate everything, go inside of After Effects, do a little bit of masking out and camera work there, and then inside of DaVinci Resolve, quite honestly, this took about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. And I wouldn't constitute this as a final version, but I would say that's a great rough draft to deliver to your client and say, hey, this is the approach that we're going. What do you see that you'd like to change? What do you see that you'd like to add? Yada, yada, yada. But this is the power that AI has. So we literally didn't leave the studio at all to produce this. We used real assets. We used language to create everything that we're seeing here. And this is the final output. Get ready for it.
Right, bold, bursting with fruit. Packed with vitamins, minerals, and natural energy, this is more than juice. It's vitality in every sip. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and bananas, blended fresh, made for everyone. Drink the energy of fruit. Drink Original Harvest Juice.
And that, boys and girls, is a finished product. I can't believe it. Like, this is incredible where we've come just in the past couple of years. And this is why I think AI technology is so impressive. But again, this is something that you'll have to determine whether or not that you want to use it in your workflow. You could easily go out and film all of this stuff with your camera and your studio and lighting. But let's just say you're on a tight deadline. You have 1 day to complete this project, and they're going to give you $5,000, but you need $6,000. But if you do this with AI, you only need to spend $2,000. So then you'll get a profit share of about $3,000 if you wanted to do that. Not too shabby, not too bad. So I'm really impressed with this. Again, it all comes down to authenticity and making sure that you're doing this ethically. I tend not to do any of the text to prompt. I only do ingredients to prompt. That way that everything that I'm creating in the scene is something that actually exists in real life, something that either A, I shot myself, B, someone from my team shot it, or C, I licensed it from another a stock photo manufacturer or another artist. And that's the case in all of these. So really what we're seeing here is just the evolution of what's going to be coming to the future of cinematography, to spec work, to social media campaigns, to everything. And you can do it in a way that looks absolutely professional, and it looks like it was really done in the studio, but it doesn't take as much time, and you can put all of the creativity in actually forming your scenes, and then you get this really beautiful result. And quite honestly, I'd be very proud of this if I was giving it to a client. I think that they would love it. Obviously, there'd be some tweaks. We'd do some sound design, other things like that. But this is a really, really, really great starting point. And yeah, that's where we are. So the next thing for this, after we do this, is since we've already basically done all of the AI upscaling for each individual clip, we could go back and do it again and throw it through the video AI from Topaz Labs. And that's really what I'd recommend doing too, because then you'll just heighten that quality up one more notch. And I am editing all this 4K footage in a 1080p timeline. That way it's actually compressing it and downsampling it, so it's getting even better quality. And then I could even go through here if I wanted to and do color correction. I could do all of my grading if I needed it. And you really still get a wide gamut of pixels to work with, which is pretty impressive. And we can change the gamma. Look at this, drop that down. We can lift it down, make it a little more contrasty. And really that's kind of the power of this whole system, is you can make it anything that you want, and you can edit it just as if you were editing regular footage. And I think that's kind of a testament to how impressive utilizing AI alongside real assets is, and that's the future of what we're at right now. So first, I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me. There's going to be a couple more demonstrations after this. I hope you enjoy them. They're going to be on different topics of utilizing live action footage with AI, bringing still photos to life with AI, bringing characters to life with AI. And I'm really excited, and I hope you continue to watch this and grow with me as we all grow together with AI. But that's it for today. Have a great time. Thanks. Cheers. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through Google Flow from start to end. I'm going to show you the best prompts, all of the features and functionalities of the program, and how you can start creating AI out of your own content pretty much right out of the gate. So let's get started. So if we come to Google Flow, which is at Google Labs, you can come here, you see the main page. They just updated this now so that you can start with 100 free credits, which is great. So if you want to start creating for free just to try it out, you can do that. I will say 100 credits is really nothing. One VO3 model credit is 100, so you pretty much only get one generation of iterations to choose from. However, if you go in and choose their plan, I would go with the Pro plan for $35 a month, and you can then tack on another 12,000 credits if you want to, or 12,500 credits. And that's going to give you the most bang for your buck and really allow you to explore what Flow has to offer. And I will say that you're going to run through probably about 5,000 to 10,000 credits pretty quickly if you're working on a project or if you're doing a lot of iterations. If you do end up going with the Ultra mode, though, or the Ultra plan for Google Flow, you'll end up getting VO3 fast for free the entire time when you do text to prompt. Or you'll do iterations and frames a generation with only 10 credits, which is fantastic. So you basically get a 10-to-1 ratio if you choose the Ultra plan, which for $250 isn't bad, but I'll be honest with you, it's way too much money. I would say keep it under $50 and you'll be fine. But only get the $250 plan if you want the free use of YouTube, where you get YouTube Red. You get 30 terabytes of space for Google and a couple other little features. But really, I don't think it's worth it to get the $250 version. So anyway, let's jump into Flow and see how we get started. So if you're new to Flow, it's pretty easy. You'll just come to the main screen. You'll say Create with Flow. And that's going to bring us to our product page, where it'll show basically everything we've already created and the projects that we're working on. We're going to go here and do New Project. And this is the basic layout for Google Flow. Now, if you ever want to check to see how many credits you have, you can go to the top right-hand corner. You can click it, and it's going to tell you exactly how many credits you have. Now, I've got the Ultra plan, so I came off with 25,000 credits, and we really just started this month. So I've got a lot of credits that I can do a lot with, but that just shows you how much you can work with while you're prompting your videos. Down here, this is going to be our main tool area to work in. This is the prompting box, and you get three options to choose from. You've got text to video, you've got frames to video, and you've got ingredients to video. And each three of these does pretty much a wildly different outcome, or has a wildly different outcome, I should say. If we do text to video, which text to video, quite frankly, in my opinion, is unethical because it is using everyone's work that's out there. It did pull from a bunch of different libraries and stock sites. So you could be infringing upon people's rights if you do the text to video. It's fun to play around with, and I'll say that you can come up with some interesting ideas, but I would say use text to video only for doing storyboarding ideas, but nothing for real like commercial grade work where you're going to be putting stuff out there, because you could be subject to copyright violations. That being said, it's still the Wild West of AI. No one's really being sued yet for any of this content because it's hard to tell where this information comes from. So that's something you have to be careful of. But text to video is where you basically just type what you want, and Google Flow is going to come up with its own idea of what that is and rendition of it and output it to you. Next is frames to video, and frames to video gives you a start and an end. So if you have two frames, let's say you've got a person, you want to start in one location and then they end up, over by a car in another location. Well, you put the first frame you want there and then the end frame. And then what Google Flow is going to do is it's going to generate information between there so that it links the first frame to the last frame. And that's pretty fun. And you can choose that down here if you want to. So you would click here and then you would choose from your library. So we could say we start with this shot here where she's laying, and then we would cut to the shot where she has fins. And I'll show you how that works in a second. And then you can also come over here, and this is only under frames to video, is you click this little icon here and it gives you the option to add what kind of camera movement that you want in the film. So if you aren't as literate in the cinematography world, you can use this to really amplify the work that you have, so you can see just how it would act inside the frame. So if you wanted to jib up, jib down, if you wanted to orbit left, orbit right, you get the idea. Truck, tilt, static, everything is here, and it works out really well. And a lot of times, if you are doing this, like dolly in and dolly out are probably the most used ones. So you can see down here, it's got dolly in. And we could do a shot like this, where it starts here, and then we want to end with the mermaid shot. And then I would come down here to the prompt and basically write exactly what I want to have happen. And that's how we do it. Now, up in the top right hand corner, you've got two other options to choose from. You've got your model that you'll choose from, which depending on which service you choose, you can go with the VO3 or VO2. So the fast models are for very fast renderings. They're usually lower credits. If you're using the lower base one, this is, I believe, 10 credits still, but if you use VO3 fast, it's still 100 credits. But in this version, because I'm using Ultra, they reduce the credit cost down to just 10, which is really nice. Or you come over here to do quality 3 and quality 2. Although I will say VO3 quality and VO2 quality, or yeah, VO3 quality only works right now on text to video. So you're not really going to get that that usage out of it, unfortunately. But you can use the fast version of VO3, which is in some regards better than VO2. But I've had instances where VO2 is better than VO3. It's just going to take some practice back and forth there to make it work for what you want. And then the last one, we have ingredients to video. And ingredients to video, I think, is probably the most powerful tool that Google Flow has. And it's probably the one that you're going to utilize the most, because this is where you can come in and add the assets that you want to show in the scene. And then it's going to generate around there. So much like we did in our fruit juice commercial, we could come in here and add our 3 fruits in there. And those 3 fruits would appear in the way that we wanted to. Or, you know, we could come in here and say, I want this model with this background up in the mountains, and I also want to see it into a claymation kind of form. So we would get all 3 of those together, and then we would basically allow Google Flow to figure out what that's going to look like. And we could say, let's just try this out. A woman in a bathing suit stands on the edge of a mountaintop and is transformed into a felt covered world. Cinematic, cinematic, ultra realistic. And these are fun words to use. If you use cinematic and ultra realistic, you're going to get a more contrasty, more punched in kind of look, and it's going to look more film like. You could also say something like handheld, natural, and like whimsical. And I'm terrible at spelling. Thank goodness for spell check. All right. So this is, again, a very basic prompt, but we can go ahead and generate that. It's probably going to give me an error saying it can't do VO3 quality, so we do VO3 fast, and it's probably going to say it can't do VO3 fast, so it'll automatically tell you which one that you want to switch to that works for this type, and it's really just VO2 fast. And then we'll click go. And then what we have here is we're going to be seeing that the prompt is going to be rendering, and it's going to give us a percentage, and that percentage could go up very quickly. It could go up very slowly. It really just depends on, 1, your connection to the server, and 2, how fast or how many users are using the service at the moment. I will say late at night, these render in probably just a few seconds, probably anywhere from like 10 to 20 seconds max. And I've seen them take as long as 2 to 3 minutes. And I've had plenty of issues where it fails. So it really comes down to, you know, the server load time and how many users are using it. But it's kind of a crapshoot. So it could go really quickly. It could go really slowly. And as you know, as we're standing here, the percentage is going up about 1% every couple seconds, which isn't bad. But you'll see once this actually starts to wrap up that this image will then start to take form, and that's when you know that your image is ready. Now, if we go back to the prompt really quick, on the right-hand side, there's a settings tab, and the settings tab I think is really important. Hey, look, there you go. And you can choose the outputs that you want as well. I would say keep it at 2 outputs, because that's going to give you 2 options while you're doing it. If you do 4 outputs, you're going to do 4 times the amount of credits. And if you're not on the Ultra plan, you could end up spending about 400 credits for 1 iteration. So be careful with that, because that is a lot of money that comes out. If you only have the Pro plan basic, and that only comes with basically, I think, 50 video generations, you've just used a very large portion in one sitting. So be careful with that. Just keep it at 2. And again, depending on what user and depending on what subscription level you are, just keep it on VO2 fast for the majority of the time. That way you get the best, fastest quality. And then if you really want to upgrade it, you can then choose the VO3 quality or the VO2 quality. But again, the VO3 quality only comes in the text to prompt area. So we'll check these out. We'll see what we got here. That's interesting. Very, well, we can see that it used all of the ingredients in the shot, and I wasn't very descriptive about what we wanted here, but we've got our talent here in a kind of felt-like world with the background that we wanted or that I used. And in this one, it's creating a mix of like realistic simulation, and then it just decided to go somewhere else. So this one didn't work out too well, but it really just comes around with you tinkering around and figuring out what works well. I will say that you want to make sure that all of the ingredients that you're using or all of the assets that you're using are horizontal in nature, because the vertical assets that I found tend to not work as well, and it forces you to crop into a certain section. So let's say you wanted to animate a photo or show a photo coming to life. It's going to be whatever that crop circle is. So if we come here to upload, and I'm going to choose this fox just as an example, you'll see that in the vertical photo, I only have this area to choose from. So if I wanted the full body of the fox, it wouldn't work. So I'm going to reset this and cancel. I'm going to upload a new one, and then I'll choose the horizontal version of the fox that I have. It'll upload it. And now you can see that it's going to give me the full frame that I want. So I'll do crop and save. It's going to sit there for a second, and then it should add it to the rest of my thing. So I've got that now. I've got the ingredients for that. And then I can come here and change it, add whatever I want. Juice bottles and models. You get the gist. For the most part, though, this is where you can also come in, and if you wanted to, you could come up to the right-hand corner, and you could start using this as your actual timeline for developing a story. So I would click Add to Scene. So if we come back and click on Scene Builder at the top left-hand side, we're going to get the option to then scroll through here. And then if we wanted to, we can click on this frame here, and it's going to give us the option to jump to, which is a cut or a cut to, and then or extend the scene. So we could just come here and click Extend Scene, and then say, apple falls from the tree and rolls down the hill. Again, very simple, very straightforward. Then we'll let that go. And I will say, sometimes it hangs on here and you have to be careful. So what I will do is I will copy and paste this. I'll come back up here. I'll click extend. I'll paste it again. And then this is going to basically create a cut to and not a move or extend the scene. It can be an iffy program sometimes, I will say. Flow, when it does work, it works well. And when it doesn't work, it's unfortunate. So we'll sit here and we'll wait for a second to see what happens, and then I'll try to show you how to extend the scene. So in this scene, what we can do is we can play this through, and I actually interjected myself into the scene. But that's not me. But what I did do is I came back through here, and I used my face with the same prompt I had down here, which this was a text to video, and then this is an ingredients to video. And then I was basically able to come in, add myself into the scene on the AI's body, and then animate myself. Now, I then went through and I decided to extend the scene. So if we go back to Scene Builder here, it should bring up all of the scenes that we had connected to this. Yeah. So this was the first scene, and I'll play through this. Hit play. That was the initial scene, and then I added another scene where I'm like, you know what if I add my cat to the scene? And you'll see what happens. So then it comes from here, and then it's like, oh, hey, look, there's my cat. And I added that ingredient. And then I added a bunch of other people. So you can just keep adding upon scenes, upon scenes, upon scenes as it happens. and it can work out really well. Sometimes it doesn't work out really well. But again, that's half the beauty with using AI, is it's really just random. You can only direct it so far. But as you can see down here, I used a much more detailed description than the previous one that we were working on. You know, ultra realistic front view of a middle-aged white man. Hey, that's me. With an athletic build, stubbled beard, clear skin, brown eyes, wearing a black t-shirt, black base hat, and dark jeans. He's standing in the corner of a dark lounge, lighting the bar is orange and teal. Ultra grungy, dramatic, raw looking. The camera slowly moves along the floor and tilts up as he standoff looking in the distance of the lounge. Yes, that's what we have there. So, not bad. But that's kind of like what you get out of the scene builder. And I will say that you can start creating and linking a bunch of scenes together. So if you don't want to go inside of, or if you don't want to go inside of DaVinci Resolve, you can just come right back here and really just do it manually. And then you can come over here and you can download by clicking download. It'll download and export the entire version of it. Now, that being said, that's pretty much the gist of Google Flow. Now, if you want to learn more about it, the best way to do it is really just to get into Google Flow and start creating. Let your mind go free, really think about the shot that you want, and kind of come up with a fun idea. Hey, look, there's an apple that's rolling up and down the hill. That's not what I wanted, but it looks neat. We just created art, or AI created art, I should say. Here's another one. That's a big apple. Anyway, that's the gist. If you have any questions, though, always feel free to reach out. I'm going to be utilizing these forms on the website to really communicate with you guys. So if you guys have questions or curious about anything, you can always ask me. I will say too that Google Flow does have Google TV. Or Flow TV, I should say. And if you click on Flow TV, it's a really great place where you can get inspiration and you can kind of learn from what other people are using to prompt with. And it gives them the full prompt view, and you can just kind of like scroll through and see what it is. So, you know, the felt cute kind of phase, little panda bears, you know, and these are text to video. So, theoretically speaking, this is unethical to use this kind of stuff because this is drawing information from their artists, but it looks neat, right? But be cautious and be careful when doing it. But it's a great place to get inspiration. It's a great place to really, see what other people are doing and either expand upon what they're doing or take what they're doing and make a new iteration out of it. But there's so much to explore. There's so much to do. And hopefully this gives you a little more ease into the world of AI and really hopefully it expands upon your creativity. But thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.